Hi everyone, this is Sumant from Decode Now. Welcome to the lecture series on Python for Beginners. Today we'll be discussing about tuples or tuples as some people pronounce inside Python. Let's jump into the video. Tuples are very similar to lists. However, they have one key or major difference, that is immutability. So tuples are almost similar to lists, but the only difference is in lists, as we have seen in the earlier video, we can modify or alter the data or the values present inside list, whereas in tuples that is not possible. So it supports immutability. Once an element is inside a tuple, it cannot be reassigned or altered or modified. So the only difference between tuples and lists is immutability. And also there is one more difference between lists when it comes to syntax. In lists we use something called big brackets or square brackets, whereas in tuples we use this parenthesis or small brackets. So let's jump into the coding section and look at few examples of tuples. Let me just define a tuple and give it a name as t and open and close parenthesis, that is the small brackets, and define values with comma as the separator. And this defines my tuple. Similarly, let me define a list and call it as my list. And here, if you observe, we are using square brackets. And if I say my list, I get the values in an array. I can perform type method on my tuple as well as my list. So I would just say type of t, and that gives me the result output as tuple. And similarly, I can say type of my list, and that should give me the type output as list. We can also perform the length method. So if I say len of t, then it gives me the value as 3, as there are 3 elements inside my tuple. Also, tuple supports multiple types within a single tuple, similar to list. So what I mean by that is, if I say t equals, let me just pass in a string called abc, and then I will pass in an integer value 1, and it supports this particular multiple types within a single tuple. Not just 2 types, but more than 2 also. Since tuples are similar to lists, they store their values in an orderly manner, so we can perform indexing as well as slicing. So if I just say t of 0, then it returns me the first value, which is the string abc. So if I want to get the value of the last element, then I would say t of -1. So reverse indexing is also supported here. As you can see, it is returning the last element. There are only 2 methods or the default methods available for tuples. One is called the index method and the other is called the count method. So let me just define a new tuple here and give it a few characters. Let's say a, comma b, comma then c. And I would like to repeat this last character c one more time. So this is my new tuple, and I can say something like t dot count of and pass in the character c, and that would give me how many times this particular character c is present in our tuple. As you can observe here, we have it 2 times, so it is returning the output as 2. Similarly, we can perform the index method also. So for that, we have to just say t dot index of. Let me just pass in any character in my tuple, and it will give the index of that particular character. Let me just say b, and it gives me 1. So indexing starts from 0. So a is our 0th index and b is the first index. So and it is returning 1. What would be the case for the character which is repeating multiple times? So usually what happens is it starts iterating through the list, and when it reaches the first element, it returns that particular index value, and it won't iterate through the other part of the list. Once it reaches a particular element, it just returns. So if I say t dot index of c, then it gives me value 2. So it comes here, a no, then it checks b is not c, so it comes to c, it encounters that the required element, and it directly returns that particular 2, and it won't iterate through the further list. It will just ignore the rest of the list. So these are the 2 methods that is present which we can perform on tuples. And the last thing that I would like to explain here is the major concept or the major difference between the list and the tuples, that is immutability. So if I define my tuple as, let's say, 1 comma 2 comma 3, and if I define my list as 1 comma 2 comma 3 as well, and if I want to modify something in my list, I would just simply say my list of 0. Let me just modify this, and I would say new. And now if I type in my list, then I would get, you can see here that the list was changed from 1 to new here. Similarly, if I want to do the same thing for my tuple, and if I say r of 0 is equals to new, then it would throw a type error saying that tuple object does not support item assignment. So we cannot, once an element is defined within a tuple, we cannot alter it or modify it. You might ask a question that if there are only two methods supported for this, and if we can't even modify tuple, what's the use of this? Where exactly will we use this? So when you are beginning to code in Python, we won't use tuple as much because there is no necessary or use of it in the initial stage. But in the later stage, when we are dealing with some advanced concepts, then we use tuple when we want to pass around the values, but we want to ensure that those values do not modify or get altered. In that cases, we use tuples. So for now, it's a good to know, but we won't be using it much in our coding. So this was all about tuples. If you have learned something new, please do subscribe to our channel and support us. If you have any questions, suggestions or requests, please let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like the video. See you in the next video.